Let's embrace the vibes. Did you know that Claude Code has the power to be the most amazing vibe designer? I've been using this workflow to get some very consistent output for my designs. And I want to show you a little bit of how we can leverage some of that sauce so that we can be a really consistent designer when we're using AI with our apps. Ladies and gentlemen, what I have here are these specific rules files that I use for coding my apps. And so I let the AI generate basically the code using Claude Code. And then what I want to do today is kind of go over a little bit of how we're going to get this set up inside of Claude Code, and then how we're going to generate a / command inside of Claude Code. So that way you can just keep calling this rule file and you don't always have to basically mention it in the app and when you're doing your different designs and stuff. And I want to show you how we're going to use this in real life. The reason why you want to use something like this is because AI likes to generate code based off of its own training set. These AI systems are trained, all of them. When I'm using it with React and Tailwind CSS, there's usually version 3 around. Version 4 is just launched and is pretty new. And it takes a little while for all this stuff to get baked into the systems. And so usually when you set up these types of rules, it's going to be really, really great for it. And who is this actually for? Only for cracked engineers. So this entire thing is if you're a cracked engineer or you want to be a cracked engineer. Actually, it's not even like that. I don't gatekeep around here, by the way. This is literally a live stream. So I hope you're watching this and also laughing with me. If you smash the thumbs up, I have to do this little thumbs up type of dance. So big shout outs to Chris, who's on the live stream right now. We're just going to go over this like plain and simply and kind of get right into it. So you can find these design docs here on rayfernando.ai. And this document here is actually on my website. If you go down, I have this section here, but if you scroll down a little bit more, it says design reviews and automate UI standards with cursor and LLMs. So when you go here, I know this is my catchy headline I put onto X. You have to like do funny stuff there to get people's attention. But anyways, when you go all the way to the bottom, you'll see this rules file. If you hit this little copy, that's where you can get this markdown and we can put it inside of our app. I'm using Cursor today and I use Claude Code inside of Cursor, and I can't tell you how amazing it is because we're going to get into that a little bit later. But anyways, what you want to do is you can actually create a folder called .claude and then hit a little commands thing and just put like the markdown file in here. So once you do the design.md file in here, when you open up a new Claude Code instance, when I just click this little thing, and all I have to do now is just type in /design, and then boom, it's already going to have that design file with those rules. Everything that I'm showing you in here is going to be applied. So I want to show you really quick some real sloppy stuff that I've been doing with my app. I just shipped this. And so now my users can basically go back on and view their previous transcriptions. And I've basically been able to add this little sidebar with like the history and stuff so people can go back to their previous transcriptions and re-download the stuff that they want to have. If they already transcribed it, they want to go back and re-download them. It was just a feature request. So in here, when a user goes in here, as you can kind of see, I was just quickly moving to get something out the door as fast as possible. And I thought, I need to have this here so that my users can use it. And, I want to ship fast. And this type of thing is just a UI issue. It doesn't necessarily block the ship. And so I want to kind of clean this section up. So this is in my just regular, when I go ahead and select something like this, what I want to do is just go ahead and take a screenshot of this. And then we're going to go back into Claude Code where it says /design. And then I'm literally just going to give it that screenshot. So that way we can kind of cook with this here. Let's see. New Finder window. And then I'm just going to grab this from my desktop. This should be the most recent one. Okay, great. So when I drag it in here, I hold Shift. And you see that little icon here? It should just kind of show it like this in the IDE. So this is super handy when I do that. And then I could just say, please fix the design spec for when I click a transcription and view the history. I see it doesn't meet the spec. And so just by doing this, I'm basically just going to let it do its thing with Claude Code. And now it says it's incubating and actually actualizing and doing all that really cool stuff. And we're just going to YOLO this, right? So it's going to want to ask for my permissions. I say, yes, please. I'm going to get rid of this here. And I can see several design violations in the transcript history view. Please let me create a to-do list to fix these issues systematically. So this is really awesome. So now it's basically just going through. I'm pretty much just YOLO moded. I didn't have to do a plan mode. I just said like, this is pretty straightforward and we should do, kind of hang out pretty good. One of the things that I forgot to do is what I normally do is actually create a feature branch for this type of change, because I don't like to just push the changes right into the main, because that just goes right into production and my users would see it. So if I break something, it sucks and I don't want to get refunds. So I'm going to let it do its thing here. And then maybe underneath the hood, I'll do that really quickly if I can kind of get that. So one of my favorite apps to use is this thing called Tower. It's a paid app, but I love to use it so much and I've been using it for years. I basically just go here, right click, and I say create new branch from main. I call it feature and I'll call it fix UI, and then create the branch. And then I think we already created it here. And yeah, we're good. So now it's actually just writing the code in. It says, okay, so now it's wrote the changes. It's opened the changes in Cursor, and it hasn't actually made any of the changes to the actual files or written stuff in. So we're still kind of safe right now. What I want to go ahead and do is just make sure I publish the branch by going up here in Cursor. There is a way to do all of this in Cursor, by the way, but I'm so used to using this other UI, and that's kind of where I'm at here. So, okay, so we should have the branch published now, and now we actually see it here, and it's also going to be on my remote server. So on the remote server, we'll see the fix UI. So that means basically it's currently on GitHub, and we're ready to push changes into it. So that way we can kind of roll back when we need to, by the way. So as of now, we're at this first step, and it wants to see me to review the changes. And so what it's doing in the design doc, just to FYI, there are some rules here to make, I'm using this thing called the 8-point design system. So everything in TypeScript, when it's giving the values from Tailwind, it's going to be divisible by 8. So we're not going to have some weird odd numbers. And so it's going to try to do some maths and things, stuff like that into here, and leverage some of that type of system. So if you are basically working on this type of stuff, and let's just say you are a designer, or maybe you work with a group that has like a lot of like design team, and you're working with a bunch of engineers, you can basically make this little spec file that you just feed it in just like this with that / command. And then you guys are all going to have the same code output, which is really awesome. So even if you manually write code, you can just do this / command and then just have it basically run over your code. And as an engineer, it's almost similar to the concept of linting, where you write the code and you have these specific rules for how things are made. Now you're just describing the rules in English as far as like what your design guidelines are and what specific things you want. So I do have those examples on rayfernando.ai, and just kind of wanted to give you that heads up here. So as we see, it's kind of changing the visibility from 6 to 8 here, and kind of readjusting based off of some of the rules, and it's following some of the Tailwind CSS v4 standards. So it's changing from SM to use the base and some of this other stuff, instead of using, like, Tailwind likes to say when you're generating AI code, some of the things it'll just say is like it'll generate the exact specific red color, and that's cool and all, but the problem is with the new version of Tailwind, you can actually just make one specific value, like the base value, configurable. So if you wanted to have a specific color, you can do that. And then in the future, when you make changes, you just change one file instead of going through all over your code and changing every single value that says red 500. So that's the power of these types of design systems. And that's baked into TweakCN, by the way. Tailwind, CSS v4, all of those take these components and kind of blend them together. So you have this type of design system, and that type of power is just super amazing on so many levels. Because my goal, I don't know about you, is to be able to just vibe my way into designs and stuff in the future. And I'm trying to set my repo up so I can just do more of this. Eventually, I'll just be talking to my phone, and like it'll create a GitHub issue, and then it'll push that to Claude Code, and Claude Code will do that on the server and then push it in, and I could just hit view a website. Like, that's my goal right now, and it is very possible to do that. Anthropic has actually proven that if they have Claude Code writing, I don't know, over 80% of their code, and they actually don't even look at the lines of code anymore. They just review the GitHub issues. That's crazy if you think about it. From a frontier company that's paid billions of dollars, these engineers who've made these systems understand that these systems are really important. And that's kind of where I'm moving to, if you know what I mean. So playing around with this and seeing it firsthand is kind of teaching me, what the AI system is doing. So I better understand what's going on. All right. So we're just going to go ahead and say, okay, I want to make these changes and don't ask again for the session. So that way it could just keep vibing and doing its thing. So like I want to show you a little bit more of these details up front of kind of what this type of system is doing. And I know a lot of people have asked me for what this design system file is. So that's going to be included in the description below, but also on rayfernando.ai if you want to really grab it right now during this live stream, because I know a lot of people are doing that. So while this is going on, catch up with my members and some of the folks who are also on Twitch. How's it going? Hello. If I remember correctly, you're using the component libraries. Do you have to consider those in your instructions and definitions? I actually don't. And it just depends on like the screenshot or whatever things that you're doing. You can have these Claude.md files in specific structures of your repo. So Chris, let me show you this real quick. This is another hack, but this is kind of becoming a couple different videos, and I'm just thought I would be giving you this information during the live stream since you guys are members and actively asking questions, and I really appreciate that. So you can put Claude.md files in any one of these like folders, like in your components folder, or like I could put one in my convex folder, and it would just do anytime the AI system will go into that folder, it will look up at that Claude.md file and want to do specific things. So my Claude.md, I could show you real quick, Claude.md. This is just the basic one that I had generated when I just went /init. And so in here, it's probably a couple hundred lines. So this gets loaded into the context, by the way. So as Claude Code starts to go to that specific file, it's going to load this into its context. So sometimes I kick off what you hear me say is like sub-agents. So these sub-agents are going to be crawling through my code, and one of them's task is going to probably be going to a specific folder and then maybe modifying or asking questions about certain things. So having something like this type of structure, like for convex specific things, like I can break this out and kind of put some of that stuff in there. It'll have a better idea of what it should be looking at, if you know what I mean, and kind of what other things it should update based off of that. And that way, like you kind of narrow the scope, but it's also very handy for folks who are maybe also doing like, not design reviews, but like specific components or component styling for certain apps. Trust me, this stuff can go all over the place and it may be very confusing to you, but I feel like just get started playing with this. Keep it a little bit more simple, keep it very high end, get the feel for this. Once you kind of start doing that, trust me, this will feel a lot easier the second time around, the third time around. And if you have any questions, just pop them into the Discord. I have a Discord, and the only way you can get access is if you become a member. So feel free to join if you've been enjoying some of this content. Right now, it's only $6.99. We have about 70 members. Once we get to our first 100 members, we're going to be doubling the price. So as of now, you can just go ahead and join by going to Ray Fernando's YouTube channel. And if you go to at rayfernando1337, there's a little join button there, and you should be able to join from there as well. Also, if you click on this QR code here, or just scan this QR code, that'll basically just take you to the same button that's currently displayed here. So this basically says join. So if you click this little join button on my YouTube channel, let me move my head. If you click the join button on my YouTube channel, that's how you end up becoming a member. So yeah, it is what it is right there. And then there will be a post there for folks who want to join in. So yeah, I definitely appreciate all the folks who've been able to support and kind of hanging out for the movement here. So back onto the things here. So you're basically on your way to becoming a cracked engineer. I'm by no means a cracked engineer. I am wanting to be a cracked engineer. So I'm trying to basically vibe as hard as this. So let's check out and see what's happening now and see if it actually understood what our instructions were and if it was even successful at doing these types of things. So let's just go ahead and see this here for now. So it says it fixed a lot of stuff. Holy smokes. Typography sizes, it basically fixed all of these things. It now made it from 6 to 8. So it fits these standards. The 60-30-10 design color rule. So it removed the blue. It was from a spinner to an accent. It was like overused. I love this, by the way. It changed from the greens to primary for consistency. See, like this is the whole TweakCN design system. I love this. I love that it just catches this, because I know I vibe coded so many times and it just generates these 500s, but I'm just trying to go. I'm trying to ship the feature, and like design, while it's important, it's not the primary driver for my specific app. Some apps are very design driven. So just beware, like you may see some apps where like they solely depend on the design. If the design doesn't work, then the app doesn't work. Where mine's is a little bit backwards. I have more of a utility app and the design sort of complements it. So the design is more about like trying to get out of the way really as much as possible and be as simple as possible, because I'll just kind of break this down really, really quickly. But basically you just have one task when you go there and you just have to select the file. So I don't have like all of these drop downs and all these configuration and all of these knobs and stuff like that. So basically you just do this type of thing. You select the file and you say, I want to transcribe my previous live stream, and then you're taking to step 2. So in this type of design, the user's just basically guiding itself through my entire system. So it eliminates a lot of decision fatigue. Now you do the next step. By default, you have the best option. You have the best option unless you're a non-English speaker or something like that, right? Most of the people who use my app are English speakers. And then as you scroll down, now I have this custom dictionary that's hidden away. And it's hidden away because if you're an advanced user, you know how to use this or how to do this type of consistency. And then you just hit generate transcripts. So then like now all that stuff disappears. It becomes easy on the eyes. And then like it's just kind of doing its thing and giving you a little bit of a status update. So like there's a lot of stuff that's communicated out of here. And some of the simplest designs actually means that you have to take away things. And this is a concept I learned in photography. For those who don't know, I'm actually a pro photographer as well. So if you go to rayfernando.com, I have a lot of crazy design skills, not design skills. I have a lot of different skills, but some of my photos have actually won some awards and stuff. Like one of them was actually shot on iPhone award. So like this Patagonia shot was one that won. It was literally shot on an iPhone 6S and it just blew everyone's mind. They're like, bro, what? I'm like, yeah. And guess what? There's like no touch ups. It's straight raw image from the phone. But one of the things I learned when working with a photographer who was like a pro, he says like some of the best shots, like when you get a shot, just start to like crop away and it will feel very, very different. The reason why I'm telling you about some of these important design decisions is because all of this stuff kind of matters, right? Like the image and the theme will change as you start to crop in. So this is kind of true for like most every design in general, like how I kind of cropped in on some of these images and stuff and how it like makes a different feel for the actual image. It's the same thing for design and for like settings and all these things, right? You want to guide the user closer to where you want them to see and then like what specific things should be in frame, because like that really conveys quite a bit. So that type of design is really important and like it kind of applies here too. So those are kind of some of the rules and systems that I designed there. How you can take this specific rules file and apply it to your own thing is that you'll probably want to copy and paste this into Claude Opus on the web and then give it some code examples. You can also probably copy and paste this into Claude Code as well and save it as a file saying, hey, I want to make a new design file. Can you just review my code base and take a look, or just give it some screenshots? Maybe give it some screenshots of some apps that you like, or give it some ideas. Like I like Airbnb's new style. Can you take a look at their new style? Here's some screenshots. I want you to make a design document very similar to this example that's currently here. And then Claude Opus will generate the new thing using Claude Code, right? And then it'll just make your new special design file. And then you could just keep now applying this design file. One of the importance of even having this type of file is because you want this available in the future so that the agents during a code review on GitHub or any other type of hook or action can follow up with this and take a look at itself saying, did I improve the design or did I not? One of the things I want to get to in the future, and not specifically in this video, is going to be about how we use the Playwright MCP or something like the browser-based MCP stuff. And it'll actually go to your website, like get a screenshot, do this design rule loop just to make sure it closes itself off. So what I want to do eventually is just, say, hey, implement this new feature. And then it already has the rules for following my design guidelines. And I don't have to really worry about babysitting the UI or saying, don't ever write this, don't ever write that. It's just sometimes easier to just kind of hand it off to another, set of agents or something like that to do that type of task. So yeah, it's just kind of like super pro tip. You always want to think about how you can automate yourself out of a job. And, and I think that's kind of really going to help you in coming up with these types of rules or systems to kind of move on, if you know what I mean. So yeah, how did we do, family? Let's see. We did some updates. We did some, okay, did we fix it? Let's see if we actually fixed the issue. Let me run the server and everything. So let me just kill this. Let me just redo this here. Let's see. So we should have, did it fix? Let's see. It should rebuild the UI. And then I go to history. It's like, I think what I want to do is like, some of the fonts and stuff did get bigger. So like, this is kind of easier to read. And I don't know if you realize, but previously this was much, much smaller. So if I go to my live website right now, and I'll show you this, like here, like you can see it's much smaller. And then like these fonts are a little bit smaller too. So like there's a lot of design inconsistencies compared to like something like this, where it's a little bit bigger. And then now you can actually see it's using my real buttons, where before over here, it's not really using that type of real button design. So if I go to dark mode and light mode, you'll see some of the differences between that. This is like the primary one, and this should be like secondaries. I should probably change them to all be the same, but this is just the first, thing. One of the things I don't really like is kind of how, and this is what I'll describe to it as a second pass. So that's another thing I want to share with you right now. We're going to go into a little bit of context and how we can kind of improve the design to be a little bit better, because as you can see, there's different lengths of the actual file names. And so we're seeing this kind of get pushed aside left and right a whole bunch of times. So I'm going to give it a couple of examples and just kind of see how we can cook for us. I'm going to do this in light mode. So there's less, I could probably do it. It doesn't matter. I'll just dark mode, light mode, doesn't matter. So I'll give it one screenshot here, and then I'm going to give it like one screenshot here. So this is an example of like one with a long file name and one with a short file name. And then I'm going to put it in here and see if we can just do a second iteration in our design to see what we're going to get with this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my desktop, and then I'm going to grab the recent image and put that in here. And then also grab the second one and put that in here as well. And then in there, what I'm going to go ahead and say is, I noticed there's a UI design shift when I have a file with a very long name and a file with a very short name. And you can also see that the placement of that check mark kind of looks a little bit off. Can you do a secondary review here and see what else we need to change? Okay. Cool. So it's doing its thing there, and we're just going to let it do it's called wibbling. So yes, I'm going to just add this type of thing there. Cool. Dan Vega, plan mode for the win. Yeah, I love plan mode. Shift tab is like the best thing ever. Right now, we're just totally embracing the vibes and stuff. How's it going, Dan? I always love your content. I think you do the spring development and stuff like that. Definitely go ahead, check out Dan. They got a really cool community on YouTube as well. So yeah, that's what's up. Right, Fernando on a Tuesday. What a vibe. Yeah, I was hoping for GPT-5 to come out soon. Thanks, Ray, for everything you do. Just joined. Will there be a link to the Discord server? Yeah, so if you actually go into the, there's a post that I have in my membership community. So when you go back a little bit, you'll actually see a post, and then just follow the instructions there, and I'll be able to take a look and grab you and get you into the Discord there. So yes, yeah, thank you so much for becoming a member. That's so awesome. By the way, I'm totally behind on all the likes and thumbs up because now there's 10 of them, so I got to do this little fancy dance. So while we're waiting for this, I'm just going to do this. So I have to do like this type of dance until we chill out. We're just dancing like this. Okay. Subtitles possible in live. That would be so cool. Soon. Stay tuned. Let me see if I can lock in. Maybe let Claude build a drop-down with multiple languages support. I have something in my app that will actually figure that out. So it's kind of nice actually to not have to think that out. Yeah, because there's currently like a couple different, like 3 different models that I run, and I'm planning to refactor that. So maybe I can do another refactor on this as part of this live. Why not, right? I mean, I'm just doing all this design fixes, so that'd be really, really cool. Yeah, that'd be what's up. Makes complete sense. I was thinking about TweakCN, and you have your UI design instructions for Claude. Makes sense since you said it picks up Tailwind nomenclature. Dude, these language models are trained on like TweakCN, and that's why V0 and all these other ones are so good because they're using that framework to generate code. And it's absolutely bonkers. It's amazing how good it is. So yeah, that's what's up. CSS and HTML, easy. Yeah, lab sleep. I was doing that for a while, but then I'm starting to realize as I add features and the maintainability kind of gets a little bit out of scale. And so, like, not that React is even scalable, but I do like these paradigms of programming where it's sort of programmatic and React has like, there's a lot of actually cool advantages of React. And, you know, if you're not a React person, it probably won't make sense. It just seems like a bunch of extra work. But it does scale up. I mean, I was trying to make apps, and then when you add authentication and you start to add all these different providers, especially with AI, and you want to do some really cool stuff and get really into the weeds of details, Next.js for me seems to be that gateway to allow me to take that next step. So instead of investing more time into like one specific avenue, I can just keep going further. Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own preference, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And that's kind of why I'm leveraging these AIs and kind of showing people live what I'm doing. So yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, Ray, any chance you can go super beginner level and give me a 30K foot of what you mean when you say talk about a spec? Is it similar to PRD? Yeah, totally. So Tom, like beginner level here, we're talking about, yeah, similar to a product requirements document. In like engineering in general, there's a lot of principles where they try to abstract things into these like smaller like capsules or concepts. And so when people are making these design systems, typically, you know, you would have to modify like a single file, which would have all your parameters and everything like that. And then whenever you want to put those types of things into your code, you would have to grab those and kind of memorize, you know, any actions or specific, you know, techniques you use. Like similar to painting, if you've ever done painting, you just have red, green, and blue, but then they mix the colors and they have these new color palettes, and then you'll see them grab different palettes and they come out. It's the same concept really, right? You're just making your own palette board, and then you bring that palette board and then you start to apply and you start to paint everywhere. So it's like code is kind of like that, right? You're creating all these little rules and systems, and that you, whenever you want to do a certain thing, you just have to kind of follow it to make that type of thing. You know, a McDonald's factory line, how do they make you a burger the same time, the same taste, the same everywhere all over the world? They've created these systems. And so at a high level view, these are all different systems. And then where AI is entering the piece is previously you would have to describe these, you know, systems or make them for yourself. And then like tell, you know, your code, say like all of these types of rules have to be in place in order for you to, you know, make a chess move or do certain things. So the language models are now trained generally to be, to kind of remove all of that so that you can just say, you know, in plain English, I just want you to do this. And so there is this Tailwind CSS, there's TweakCN, there's these design systems that are in place that are almost like tools, like, you know, like a hardware tool, like buying a hammer or buying a power drill. And so with the power drill, now you can do a lot more with this tool. And you start to then just describe, you know, like saying, okay, you know, you're a janitor and you're going to use this power tool to do this. And every time you see this power tool, make sure you always do this as well, right? Like you're kind of describing these types of specs, right, for the language model to go take and then go whenever it sees a certain type of thing, you want to have it go do that type of like design thing. I don't know if I explained it right, but I'm going to try to re-explain it again and come up with more things on the fly so that I can do it. But try to see if you can kind of digest it and ask me some more questions in the Discord. And I'll try to like do a better job of explaining it. So I'm just kind of right here on the fly trying to figure this out to describe. So let's just kind of take a look and see. Wow, that's nice. Actually, this is really cool. So I don't know if you know, like this like turquoise color was the primary color of my app. So when I do the transcription, that's actually the button color as well. So that's kind of nice because the users are used to a certain look. And so whenever they're doing a progress and all these types of things. And so that's basically what it did here. So that way the user's eye is not distracted. That's actually really cool that it followed that whole paradigm. And so now you can kind of see how it like left justified it with the file name and everything and kind of kept it up here and then kind of moved this towards the center and made a little bit more space for the copy so it doesn't overlap here. And then as far as like the buttons, you know, when you highlight them, it kind of cleaned that up as well. And then when we go in dark mode, the same thing kind of happens because there's these dark mode tokens too. So that is that's kind of a clean update. I like that. And then I also have to tell it about this specific button. And we're going to get into that probably next. This is really fun. See, as soon as you have like a system, I could just keep pointing it at that type of thing and it'll just keep improving it. And I can either just keep giving it screenshots and then describing it just like we're doing. And then we're moving pretty fast here, right? So it's kind of cool how much time it can save. And then it will kind of stick to the standards, right? I just wanted to get this code out there as fast as possible for my app. So I just said like, we should do that type of thing. So yeah. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So yeah, let's go here. All right. So now we have that there. And then we have this. Cool. So we have this design system. It's been able to follow the guidelines and fix a whole bunch of code. So I like what it's doing. So the checkmark item position, it made it from a small 3x3 to a 4x4, and then from medium 5x5 as well, and then remove some div wrappers and then consistent layouts. This is really cool. I love all the stuff that it's been able to do here. And I could just quickly take a look at the code changes here and we can kind of see, what it's been cooking with. And yeah, these are all the changes that it's been doing. It just in one utility file, I have some of this stuff. See, it changed it from like primary to destructive, or like the green to red and all those types of things to the exact keys that I use for my Tailwind CSS guidelines there. I like this. This is nice. This is so nice. Oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, man, Claude Code, you really cook. But that's how I use Claude Code inside of Cursor, which is super cool, right? How we're able to vibe design like this. And so what I do to commit to make a commit message is I just hit this little star thing up above, and then we have this little thing, and I just hit commit. And so I synchronize the changes. So these changes are now going to be available in my feature branch. And so in that feature branch, it's not going to go into production, and I can check that out and see how everything works. These are such nice low risk fixes that I could just keep going like this. But now just kind of wrapping up a little bit of kind of what we're doing here is that we've been able to turn ourselves to be from like cracked engineer to like, or want to be cracked engineer to like taking that next step and fix our inconsistent designs. And so whenever you generate UI, like I was doing, just to get the stuff out the door, it's going to base the UI on its training set. So these AI models are using these training sets, and they're always going to put like green 500 or whatever, because they know if you want a check mark that's done, it's probably going to be green. If it's not complete or something, or there's something to cancel, it's going to say, red 500. Like that's just the default. It's been seeing that all over the code as much as possible. With this new design system with Tailwind v4, you can just designate your color options as primary colors or secondary colors or destructive, which means, to cancel. And so one thing that I want to share before you it's called TweakCN. So if you go TweakCN.com, I think, let me just go tweak. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So if you go TweakCN.com, here, you'll actually have a way to actually play around with these types of themes and start customizing them. So if you do start customizing them in here, this is like the same dashboard and stuff. You can go light mode, dark mode, and then you can select custom themes that you want up here. So if you want like a bubblegum theme, you can do that, caffeinated theme. But you see, it also changes the rounded corners and these button types. You can do Claude as well, get the Claude vibes. So neo-brutalism. So now you have a complete like different style of UI, and it has a really nice like playfulness to it, right? You can update these primary colors and change anything you want, change the fonts, and you have a whole different feel. This is all using ShadCN and that whole design system. And all you have to do to basically export it is just go to code, and then you can just do this install here. If like I use Bun, so Bun this, and then it will literally just put that into my app. And now I have a Neo-Brutalist app, which is kind of crazy. But all it is in Tailwind v4 is it's all of this. Just go to index CSS and just replace this file. And you can see this file, like I was telling you, just has the specific colors for your background, what your foreground is, what your secondary colors are, if you're using a sidebar, and then also what the colors are for dark mode. So this is kind of what I'm saying, how powerful this type of system is, because in the future, you can just get your prototype working with some basic stuff. And then the second step is then you go in here into TweakCN and just start to really play around in this system here and just start to play around and say, okay, this is the feel that I want. Maybe I'll start here in like light mode and kind of start playing around with the colors and the roundedness and just kind of get that, that sauce for what you want for your stuff. And then you start to really kind of elevate your app, beyond some of the basics and just add your color themes. Like, I like turquoise and I think turquoise is really cool. And, we go from that to here to have a more consistent design, right? So this is just us getting started here and kind of playing around with this and the power of these design systems and how you can basically get started to automate these design reviews and totally take your vibe coded stuff and kind of elevate it to the next level so that eventually you want to automate yourself out of this whole process, right? You're just going to talk to your phone or talk to GitHub, and then Claude Code will kick in the background and do those types of things. So today we kind of learned about the slash command as well. In order for you to generate the slash command, just kind of playing that back a little bit, you just have to go back up in here to the very top. You create a folder called .claude, and then in your repo, and you create another folder called commands. And all you have to do is just drop that markdown file inside here. Just give it a name. So I just give it one lowercase name called design. And so that immediately creates a slash command that you can use in here. So if you do slash, design, it will be available just like it is here using that first header file there. And so that is such a cheat code. And when we started this, we just hit slash design and then gave it some screenshots and told it what we wanted to fix. And then it just started cooking. And from there, now the entire session here will have this in its context so they can keep going. And so that type of thing is super useful if you want to basically go from, wanting to be a cracked engineer to eventually a cracked engineer. But on top of that, how to maybe start establishing some rules and some design systems for you to get started to make your stuff to the next level. So with that said, I have to get going really soon, but I want to make sure I answer my members' questions because you have been supporting me. I really want to thank you guys because I want to announce that, for the month of July, and it's not even done, I've been doing my summer of streaming every single day. My person who's cleaning my house needs to come into this room and they're waiting for me to finish. But I wanted to let you know how proud of everyone I am here. Everyone, somebody put a thumbs up. I had to dance. I am grown 30% of my channel just from everyone showing up every day and then telling their friends and sharing it. So even if you haven't joined as a member to support, just the sharing goes a long way to share with your community, or if you know someone that can benefit from this information. It really does mean a lot to me. And I'm just really happy that the impact that we've had as a community and people showing up has just been massive. And I'm really excited about it. So that's cool. I get to show up every day. And my goal is to show up the next day and the next day as well, all summer long, and dance like this every time somebody basically likes this video, which is pretty hilarious. So yeah, big W from Goat Cheese for sure. Also, yeah, big shout outs. I told a friend to sub during his video. He's learning and your style is helpful for beginners and experienced alike. Yeah, definitely. I've also appreciated everyone who's joined the Discord because that feedback has been super cool for me to kind of lock in and dial in all the stuff here as well. Dazine, really loving the content, even over here on Twitch. Oh my God, 2 thumbs up as well. Y'all are coming in with a thumbs up. So yeah, we'll be using big OP for this. Yeah, so let's see. Are you using Tailwind CSS v4? What guidelines are you using? These guidelines are the ones I posted on rayfernando.ai. I will have some of those in the description as well. So after this video ends, I'll have timestamps that are going to be generated, and the timestamps will actually kind of take you through going back as well, so you can actually reference that. And I have also hired a video editor. So before reaching our 100 member milestone, I've already been able to have an editor reach out and, basically is going to be able to cut up these live streams for my members only. So, joining in kind of helps me get into this milestone. We're reaching our first 100 members. Hopefully we'll get there soon. We're already at 70 members, so I definitely appreciate that. And that's going to be really, really big. I can't believe how far we've gotten and everything like that. And so, yeah, just going to see if I can go back through the comments. I want to make sure I get my members first. So yeah, big shout outs to Eddie, Steve, who always shows up as well, getting that thumbs up. Big shout outs to Tom as well, who's been able to show up here, and some of the new members. Also big shout outs to someone who just became a member today, Hitesh. Thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. It's so awesome. So super, super awesome that you guys have been able to be here. So I tried live streaming today on an M2, but everything was super laggy and broke. How do you handle that while live streaming? My machine is let's see, I had an M1 Max Pro, so the more memory, the better. I think that's probably what it is. And you may want to restart your machine before you stream so that you just clear out all the RAM. It's probably the best bet, if you know what I mean. I want to see you use agent mode with VS Code and Copilot. It'll probably be a little while. My workflow right now is so heavily on Cursor right now and Claude Code. I'm able to move super fast. And if I find out that the VS Code Copilot thing is so good and so much better than that, then I will do that. One of the things I've tried experimenting with has been by using this thing called AMP code. So I'm going to be meeting with those folks later this week to give them a bunch of feedback because I've liked it. It's really close. If Claude Code was not here and available and as good as it was, I would probably be using AMP code for my agent like it's a daily driver. So like that's how good it is. And the only downside is that you have to pay per token. So you're paying the Claude Sonnet tokens. So like that's what I'm saying. If Claude Code wasn't here, like that's what I would be using. Can I still ship features with it and everything? Yes. But Claude Code has this amazing, like I'm showing you those slash commands for the design review, like it saves me so much time, right? I don't have to keep adding the files and dragging stuff in and telling it to do these types of things. These extra things that happen in Claude Code for how they hook into like GitHub as well. Crazy, crazy. So yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, my current machine, by the way, is an M4 Max 128 gigabytes. Yeah, I had to go crazy when I started like, you know, doing a lot more live streams in this past year because like I was like, I need to upgrade some of my hardware because yeah, it could die. Like the RAM is so hungry. The second part of it is that I want to run these language models locally on my machine while being live. And so these language models eat up so much RAM. It's crazy how much RAM they can eat up. So that's what's up. And so, yeah, your support helps fuel this whole machine, if you know what I mean. So I definitely appreciate that. Keep cooking, Ray. You're awesome. I started learning C language. C is great. Oh, that's how I started. Yeah, I think you'll like it. It does take a while to wrap your head around the whole syntax and then getting around these other issues and stuff. But I think you'll like it. You know, anyone who gives a thumbs up, I'm pretty much dancing. But yeah, I'm very proud of you for even trying to do that. So that's really cool. Do you have a member video that's suitable for Claude Code newbie to get started using it for Cursor very basics? Hey, Hitesh, when you join the Discord, just start to hit me up on there. I want to learn. I want to know what video I should make first. Like, is it just literally installing Claude Code or maybe how to navigate things? Maybe I'd like to actually hear what your specific issue is so that I can maybe make a video specifically for that or a live stream. Oh, by the way, I do have a members only live stream that I will be doing on Saturday between like 8 and 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So if you do sign up as a member, I'm going to make a members only post. And as a member, you'll be able to see that live stream and ask me questions. So you'll be able to go on just kind of like we're doing here, but it'll just be only for members. So that'll kind of eliminate a lot of the noise from all the other platforms. And that way I can focus on you guys because we've reached this new milestone, right? Like I even passed 50 members, which I was super proud of. And we're so close to 100 members. So that's just really, really cool. Hope you got an Apple discount on that machine. I did actually. So that was actually super nice. I hit up some friends. I was like, I need a discount. And then I bought it used. So that was another discount on top of that. So that's the only way to do it is, yeah. Go Cheese. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Like super thumbs up, like a mega thumbs up on that as well. So really appreciate that. 128. Yeah, it's the new 16, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Like, oh, there's a good meme, by the way, I saw. It's like, we only needed 6 kilobytes of RAM to send like Man on the Moon or something like that. And today with like 120 gigabytes, like I'm barely crying on the live stream that it's not enough. Right? Like I can't run a language model like, you know, unless I have at least, you know, gigabytes, a terabyte of RAM, right? Like, oh man. Oh, dude, 8 gigabytes of RAM, lab sleep. Hopefully you can get something that works for you. Have you checked out Vibe No, I have not, but this is something that I'm going to try to use in like not Kanban specifically, but in GitHub issues. And so I'm going to have some more content around this a little bit later because I'm basically kind of nailing down this workflow where I install the GitHub app using Claude Code. And with a GitHub app, it's going to just track its own issues and fix them. And so like, that's kind of GitHub already has a Kanban feature built in. So then as a human, I can review it and then drag stuff across or then kind of intervene. But I'm just going to let the agents drive the whole thing. I'm basically trying to mimic Claude Code's what they do internally, which they basically just use Claude Code to write all of their code. Insane, right? Like that's what I want to do for my app and everything. So that's what's up, man. Any tips to get discounts? Go talk to people at Apple stores. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if people from the Apple store would do it, but like there are probably people in your network, Bilal, that have worked at Apple or know someone at Apple that can get you a discount, and that's super duper awesome. Goat cheese. There's going to be a post if you just go to my membership channel on my membership. There's going to be a membership tab. And then once you go in there, the members only posts, there's going to be a post there that gives a description of the information you need to send to me. And then I'll get you all linked up in the Discord and so forth. So yeah, I have to generate a link for you. Eventually, I would just want to get it automated. I'm working with YouTube to try to figure out this authentication scheme so that people can sign in with their YouTube account and like do that verification. So it generates a private link for you. So yeah, that's what's up. We just need to get you an M3 Ultra 512 gigabytes with 16 terabytes of storage. Yeah, y'all are crazy out here for sure. I'm on a maxed out Air and that's 24 gigs. Yeah, form factor of the Air is so good. That 13-inch Air, oh man, it's so nice. Like, or the 12-inch, I think. Yeah. Apple offers student discounts. That is correct. Yeah, I think it's 10%. But if you get like a friends and family, it's 15, which is pretty fire. Yeah. Same. I seriously cannot get to work. Oh, but did they /GitHub app instructions with success, but it's still not working when commenting? Oh, interesting. I see. Yeah, that's what's up. So I'm not really sure about all that, but we'll see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:30, and I'm going to let you in on some inside secret sauce right now since you've stayed this far of the stream, and usually people don't really watch this side of the stream. So if you're here, it's very, very special right now. It's our little special corner. I'm headed up to the Cursor office right now. Like, I'm supposed to meet Eric at 3:00. And then, I've been to the office before. I have a little video on my channel about like kind of getting to meet with them. I met with them last year to show them the very beginnings of Claude 3.5 Sonnet and how I generate apps and stuff using, this mega prompts. And so anxious to see like some of the sauce that they're cooking up with. As of the latest stuff that I've been playing around with here using Cursor, I've done a couple videos like earlier in my live streams where I didn't use Claude Code and they have really improved their agent here. And so I'm hoping to get a sneak peek on like what they're really cooking with. If you have any questions, drop them in right now. And then I'll see if I can actually ask them, while I'm there. So yeah, in a couple of hours, I'll basically be there. I might do an impromptu live stream with just my phone and just be like, yo, what's up? I'm about to get inside type of thing. Yeah. So Sharik just says like, he just give the like because he just wants to see me do the thumbs up. That's so funny. Yeah. So basically the thing that's been happening in the last couple of videos is like, as people actually like Ecamm Live shows me this little thumbs up that flies through the screen. And, I just said like, why don't I just kind of like thumbs up? So then I'm basically kind of low key turning into an NPC, if you know what I mean. So as people like it, it's like, yeah. So, yeah. Bro, this is funny. Yeah. On my last live stream, I think we got like 100 likes, which I never had before on a stream. And that was pretty funny because there's so many people would tune in and just kind of just drop it in just casually. Like, yeah, that's so fun. Let's see. What else am I doing? Okay. So, and then Wednesday, I'm going to be going to the Cloudflare office. So at the Cloudflare office, they're going to have this thing with voice agents. And my friend King Butoshi is also going to be there with his AI robot. That's the one where we changed the voice to Grok 4 and it just went crazy and started swearing at us. And I don't know if it's going to start to fight me or something, but I'm going to get to actually meet it in person. And we're going to also meet Quinla. And I'm looking to see if I can do a live stream. So I'm trying to get my remote set up there, all set up. This is kind of what's going on in the lab right now. My home's a little bit messy. I got the bed here. I got a whole bunch of stuff that I got going on. So we're going to like transform and I'm going to try to see if I could take my like one of my cameras, my pocket camera with some mics and then just pull up in San Francisco on Wednesday and just go live from the spot. It's an evening event. So I'm going to see what I can do and it'll be really fun. Just kind of hang out and play with a robot and try to code it using PipeCat and some other stuff. So I need to freshen up on some of my Python. I might be doing that tonight / tomorrow. What else is going on this week? a lot of stuff is going on, man. This weekend we got the members only live stream. So if you just became a member, I'm going to make a post coming up explaining some of the details and how you can join in. And then I'm going to try to figure out either through the Discord, like I'll be simultaneously streaming from there so that it saves on Discord and also saves to YouTube. That way, as members, you can just come back and watch it later, which would be super awesome, which I appreciate. I love the cursor tab. I would love Cursor's inside tips on how to use it better. Yeah, I think that's a Danonymous. Let me know when you say use it better. I guess it would be good to know like what you're currently struggling with inside of Cursor. Like I tried to do this, but it's not working. Or like every time I make an app, my designs suck. Like, I don't know, like something that you're encountering as a problem. And then I can actually like talk to people about that and then see what they say as well. If we all remove a thumbs up and redo it, will it show again? I have no clue. Bro, you're killing the you're killing the vibes, bro. You cannot remove. You can only go thumbs up. I guess you could just drop super chats and I'll just like start to do like waves or something, or kind of like chilling. I'd be like, yo. And yeah, okay. Now this is really fun. I do love live streaming. This is my passion. I need to head out. Oh, dang, it's double thumbs up. So that must have been you, bro. Like, all right, y'all. I got to head on out because my room's got to get cleaned up. I got to get out of here and I got to head up to San Francisco and beat the traffic. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for the streams. I love y'all so much and I will see y'all soon. Peace.